Hello, I'm Michael Emery. This video is designed to accompany the Release Stress mobile phone app. Let's begin by defining stress. A friend of mine who specializes in applied kinesiology, Dr. Robert Cyprian, defines stress as the following: a mentally, emotionally, or physically disruptive, upsetting condition occurring in response to adverse influences and capable of affecting physical health by increasing heart rate, blood pressure, muscular tension, irritability, and depression. Now, according to Dr. Cyprian, there are 5 factors involved in stress. There's the emotional factor: fear, depression, uncertainty, insecurity. There's a chemical factor: toxins, poisons, refined foods. There's the structural factor: musculoskeletal dysfunction. There's a thermal factor: extremes of hot and cold, especially when alternating. And lastly, there's an electromagnetic factor: electric and magnetic pollution. In terms of proactive steps that you can begin today, Dr. Cyprian advises that you create a 2-column list. In the first column, put down all of the factors that you have no control over. And then in the second column, write down the factors that you do have power over. And then begin to make changes based upon what you can change in the second column. Dr. Cyprian also recommends moderate exercise, a minimum of 3 times a week, in addition to eating organic foods. And he also suggests eliminating wheat, soy, dairy, except for butter, refined sugars, and any other highly processed foods that have been in your diet, just to see what happens. What I appreciated the most from the email that Dr. Cyprian sent me on stress was that he recommended meditation or contemplation as highly effective tools to use in reducing stress. That is, if a person would create a practice out of doing it. Out of Dr. Cyprian's list of the 5 stress factors, there's only one of those over which you have complete control: the emotional factor. In just a few seconds, by applying an exercise called the cross-crawl pattern, you can change your physiological state, which affects your mental and emotional state. Or by controlling your breathing and changing your rate and duration of breath, you can also change your physiology, in turn affecting your mental and emotional state. Also, you can learn how to make the internal representations, that is the self-talk, the internal feelings, the visual imagery that causes you to feel empowered, in control of that old thing called stress. I tend to favor this approach the most because it allows for the unconscious mind to begin to generalize and associate your personal power into all areas of your life. Stress tends to involve the states of overwhelm and anxiety. Overwhelm is looking too far out in the future to have perspective on the variables or be able to control the variables to create the outcome you desire. On the other hand, anxiety is the fear response, the fight or flight response to an imagined hypothetical scenario. The Release Stress program is designed to be used on a daily basis. In less than 20 minutes, you can reconnect with your breath and change your physiology through the sound effects used within this program that act similarly upon the brain as the cross-crawl pattern does. And then the languaging part of this program ambiguously leads the listener through states of letting go. A person goes into a state of foveal vision when they experience fear or anxiety. This type of vision is concentrated upon specific details. Now, when a person is in this state, it's also typical for their internal dialogue to become very loud. The flow of the language patterns makes it practically impossible for the listener to focus down on the details. Instead, through metaphors that begin to encompass one another, the listener's attention is brought to a bigger and bigger perspective. The purpose of this is twofold. First, by giving the listener too many details to focus upon, the conscious mind soon begins to experience overwhelm. And secondly, when the person experiences overwhelm, he or she is no longer able to make meaning out of the experience and must just allow the process to continue. Learning to let go is the intended result. And this is the feedback that I've received from many of the listeners, that they felt as though they finally had to just let go and allow the experience to continue as the words washed over them, creating a restorative sense of peace. Out of the factors that you can control, your emotional and mental environments are waiting for you to take charge. And paradoxically, taking charge is letting go and trusting the process. This is trusting your unconscious. Be amazing.